Hey friends, it's Crayola, and today is the first day of my new series with my commuter vlogs. So, with my commuter vlogs, these are just vlogs that I take while I'm commuting. It is currently Monday morning. The sun is shining. Road conditions are wonderful. And my head is trying to have a migraine. So, before I really get on the road, I'm going to quickly take a medicine. That is the wrong one. I don't know why my doctor gave me the giant bottles this time. Safely taking the bottles. Big one. Which is a good thing, there's a bunch of traffic coming. So, I go to the lovely East Carolina University, and from where I live at, it is about an hour away, both ways. And about an hour away both ways. And usually driving conditions are pretty good. The only time, and I promise this is like a given with anyone, the only time I will never record on a commute is when it's raining or where there are bad conditions. So like rain, snow, sleet, super high wind, that kind of thing. I will never record whenever there's any sort of bad weather. So, with my first vlog in the series, I'm going to talk about really why I want to do a little commuter vlog. These will really be just me talking, throughout different parts of my commute. And then, a big topic that my channel's really about. So, first of all, why I want to do a vlog series that's centered during my daily commute to class. My commutes, my mom has always tried to get a day where me and her could both share one car and go to class. Well, just because of how classes and everything work out for both of us, she's a business major and I'm an education major. So, it's never really worked out. So, I have class on Monday, Wednesday. She has class on Tuesday, Thursday. So, it's really the one day where I can have uninterrupted talking time. I can talk uninterrupted. I can just spew my thoughts. My musings, as my mom likes to call them. And just really have that uninterrupted thought time. It's not like other vlogs where I say hey, something happened where I had to go stop for a little bit. Or hey, I got interrupted with something. And then another thing is, it's with driving, I always have my more revolutionary thoughts when I'm driving. I always have my more creative thoughts when I'm driving. I always have my more centralized thoughts when I'm driving. So thoughts for the channel, what kind of video I want to do, what kind of videos I plan on doing whenever I can in the future, whenever I start, getting the right kind of equipment, that kind of thing. Whenever I'm recording on something besides an iPhone 10, that kind of thing. So, those are just the things that I really think about whenever I am driving, and I just talk them out in my head, or sometimes aloud. If I ever want to really make the idea stick, I talk things out to myself. So that's really one of the reasons why I really wanted to do a car vlog, because that really is my uninterrupted talking time, where I can just talk to you guys, talk to my currently 7 people, my first lucky 7 people. Lucky number 7, I've hit 7. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much. So that is where I'm currently at right now. Now, I'm going to talk about the main reason for this channel in the future when I graduate college, which is why I decided to become a middle school teacher. Whew. Now, first of all, let's just say why I decided to become a teacher. When I first went into college, I thought honestly I was going to become a nurse. That's what I went to ECU for in the first place. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a nurse. I want to help people. I thought I was going to be a pediatric oncologist nurse. Pediatric oncology nurse. That's what I thought I was going to do. And, for the nursing field, my people that watch me that are, wanting to be nurses, thought they were going to be nurses. They're still working in that medical field that want to be nurses, want to be doctors. I respect you 100% that it's a difficult field. In and of itself, it has its own challenges. But I realized very early on in that year, my freshman year, that it wasn't for me. But I still pursued the degree program, and eventually, because I was pursuing a degree program that in the end I knew I would hate. Hate's a strong word, but as I got more and more into the classes, as I started exploring the field more, I'm just like, this is not where God intended me to be. It was staring me straight in the face. But I had already wasted a year of college. And so, summer of my, technically still freshman year, because I totally bombed my first year of college and ended up not having enough credits to be considered a sophomore. Actually, as of last semester of this 2018, I finally have enough credits to be considered a senior, but I am considered a junior in my program. So fall 2018, I will be a senior in the college of education program at ECU. So I'm graduating next May. Because that first year put me so far behind. So, I switched to education my sophomore year. And over that summer, I was really debating on what to do. I started working at a summer camp program, and I will do a vlog about that one day soon, because that is currently what I am working on. That is the one thing y'all will be seeing the most of coming up here in a little bit, because this summer I have finally worked my way up to an assistant director position. So I'll be working right under my director, who I love to death, who I actually started at the same time as. She's actually super sweet. Her name's Jenna. I love her to pieces. She's the best. But anyway, I started working at a summer camp. And while I was working with 3rd through 5th, and I love my 3rd through 5th children, I'm just like, yes, I want to be a teacher, but I really don't feel called to be teaching elementary school. I love working with them over the summers. I love working with them during the year with my after-school program. But it's not the area. Where's my food? It's not the area I feel called to teach. So I kept praying about it and praying about it and praying about it. You know, God, show me where you want me to be. Show me where you want me to be. Show me where you want me to be. And then, one day, he just laid it all out for me. Or whether he laid it all out for me. Well, he did lay it all out for me, because he was just like, you know, listen, you finally are on the path that I want you to be on. You finally realized, you know, you weren't on the path that I was having you on in the first place, that I wanted you to be on. You've repented of everything. You finally turned everything back around to me. You know, here's the first step. So, one night, I was just laying in bed, and I thought about it, and I was thinking about it, and then God was just like, you know, think about school, and think about all the times you went through in school, and think about the time that you enjoyed the most when you were going through school. And then I was just like, oh, well, duh, that's a no-brainer, that's middle school. I was like, you know, that's the time where I honestly felt the happiest. That was in middle school. I was doing the most. I was involved in the most things. I was in theater. I was in student council. I was in band. I was, you know, dabbling into sports. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. I wasn't playing sports for school. I was doing AAU. I was doing all sorts of stuff. I was like, you know, middle school was the best time for me in my life when I was growing up, and for a lot of people that's like totally opposite. But I honestly feel like, you know, middle school was honestly the time that I enjoyed the most, because that's the time where I feel like I finally got to grow out of my little shell of a elementary schooler where I was super depressed. But and then God was just like, you know, that's where I want you to be. And I was just like, wait, what? He was just like, that's where I want you to be. I was just like, okay. It's like, that's where I want you to be. What do you want me to teach? And then he was just like, you already know what I want you to teach. And I was like, English and social studies? He's like, yes. You already know what your gifts are in those areas. Find out who you have to email. I found my advisor I had to email. Emailed her. Rest is history. So, middle school. There are a lot of misconceptions, I'm guessing, when it comes to teaching middle school. I'm not saying that it's an easy degree program, and I'm not saying that it's a super hard area to teach. Now, every grade level has its challenges. You know, it doesn't matter what your grade is. You know what I'm saying? Elementary school, you have kindergarten through 5th grade and or 6th grade, depending on where you're at. You know, they're still super young. They're still trying to figure out certain things about life. Ooh. They're still trying to figure out, you know, what certain things are. They're still trying to figure out stuff maybe about their bodies. They're still trying to figure out stuff like that. You know, middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. That's when, you know, things like hormones and stuff start kicking in. That's when they start trying to figure out emotional stuff. Like, who are they emotionally? Who are they mentally? Who are they as a human being? And then, you know, high school is like, you know, you're trying to get them ready to go into the world. That's a big challenge in and of itself. All the while, you're trying to teach them math, science, social studies, plus their extracurricular stuff. No matter what it may be. But my little focus for my little channel right now with my degree program, and right when I graduate, when I'm talking about what it's like being an actual middle school teacher, is obviously middle school. So for the past few years, when I've been doing placements, I have been majority placed in 6th grade. I have been able to sit in on some 7th and 8th grade, but I've never had a true full class period, full day with 7th grade. And then I actually have gotten to see some 9th grade. If I remember correctly, that class was 9th grade, because my licensure in North Carolina goes 6th through 9th grade. So I was actually able to see some 9th grade. But looking at it, I'm just kind of like, yes, I like teaching. I liked 9th grade. But I feel more needed in middle school. Middle school is where I really do feel like my yearning, my calling, where I feel like I am more purpose driven. That's where I feel like my purpose is. My purpose is to be teaching those difficult middle schoolers. That's where I feel my purpose is. So, with middle school, there are 3 levels. There's 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. If you live somewhere like Europe, I'm not sure what those equivalent levels would be. Maybe you're 6, 7, or 8. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you would call kindergarten, because that's when you're like... But in middle schools, when you're in 6th grade, you're about 11, 10, 11. 7th grade, you're about 11, 12. And then 8th grade, you're about 12, 13. And then, high school, you're entering your teen years, about to graduate, because everyone's like about 18 when they graduate high school. So, 6th grade, that is more of the introductory into the young adult years for most kids, or the adolescent years. So they are just out of elementary school. When you tell them to go to their exploratories, as they're called, or specials, as they're called in elementary school, you tell them, when we go from lunch, you go to your specials. You're allowed to walk to your specials. You will have your teachers. They will have a sign at the beginning telling you which way is where to go to what special, and then you'll go to your next one. And then they're just like, wait, what? You don't line us up? No. You walk. They start having that little bit of freedom to go from place to place. They may have to be lined up to go from class to class when they switch classes. But when it comes to switching exploratories, they go from place to place. So that's their first little taste of freedom. They're not used to it. They start getting more acclimated at the beginning of the year. They're like a little bit more fresh-paced, and then as they start getting ready to go into 7th grade, they're like, figuring out middle school in and of itself, along with learning the material. 7th grade. 7th grade. That is the year where they're more than likely trying to figure out themselves. That is the self-discovery year. They're figuring out what they like. They're figuring out what they don't like. They're figuring out what they might want to do when they graduate high school already. They might already be looking into colleges. They might be deciding if they want to go to early college, which in my area is where they can go to do 2 years of college for free and along with high school classes. They might be deciding whether or not they want to go the 4 years of high school and do all that other stuff, whether or not they want to play sports, whether or not they want to be that art kid. They start forming their own social identities, along with hormones starting to kick in a lot more. They might starting to be experimenting with like boyfriends, girlfriends. Meanwhile, the teachers are having to reel all of that in, along with trying to teach the material. 8th grade. 8th grade, they've had a year to figure out if they like sports. If they like sports, they generally will try out for the team again, make the team again, play it again. If they don't like sports, they'll do the next best thing that they liked doing, which either is like maybe my school system that I was in middle school. If you wanted to do band, you had to do it in 6th grade, which I think is for all of them because band just builds on itself. But other exploratories like chorus, I believe you had to do in 6th grade too. But theater, maybe art, and all those other ones, if you wanted to try them, you could. So in 8th grade, if they decided, they didn't like sports, they could build on the other ones they liked. Because in my old school system, Craven County, you weren't allowed to do sports until 7th grade for the school. You could play travel ball and stuff still. But, I tried that in 6th grade, but then, in 7th grade, I was like, I'm going to stay more of the sports route. And so I decided to, not the sports route, the band, drama, and, what do you call it? Student council route. I'm tired. What time is it? 9:20. My class starts in 30 minutes. The band, drama, and social studies route. The band, drama, school, and student council route. So that's what I decided I was gonna do. But other people, they were like, I'm gonna get sports. I'm gonna get super good at sports. I'm gonna use that to get into college. And now the reason I wanted to be a middle school teacher is because that was really a big, important part of my life. And if I wouldn't have had so supportive teachers, who knows what would have happened, honestly. I might have been trying to keep playing sports when I really was good at band and not utilized it, Band was what I really enjoyed, but if I wouldn't have realized it and just kept going on with sports, I would have been doing something I hated and not had something I enjoyed so much like band for 7 years in school. I still miss band. I really wish I would have kept doing band in college. But again, when I was going through the nursing year in school, my college advisor, when I signed up for concert band, he was like, oh, you don't need this, and took me out of it. I was like, what are you doing? It was sad. I was really sad because that was my thing that kept me grounded. But, yep. So, I really want to be that teacher that's there for those students during that influential time. I want to be there for those students. And while a lot of teachers who aren't middle school teachers, they'll be like, oh, bless your heart. Or whenever I talk to other people that aren't teachers, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to be a middle school teacher when I graduate. Oh, bless your heart. The way they'll talk, they'll be kind of looking at me like, are you insane? That's just the way I'll get. That's just the vibe I'll get. She's insane. What is she doing? She's gonna go crazy, that kind of thing. The kids are gonna drive her up the wall, that kind of thing. But, honest and truly, I love working with middle school kids. Kind of like how I said before, I love working with my kindergarten through 5th grade kids at my job currently. But in terms of being an educator in that kindergarten through 5th grade, I just cannot see myself doing it. God bless all the kindergarten through 5th grade teachers, because there's a lot y'all gotta deal with. And then high school, again, God bless you. Because high school students, to me, they just feel like they have the whole world figured out. But also I feel like, too, it doesn't matter what degree you get with your education degree. Everyone has preconceived notions about the degree they're teaching. And my job, really, that I feel like that I have laid on my heart for this channel is to break apart some preconceived notions people have about middle school. Because if those preconceived notions, to me, weren't so widespread, there wouldn't be so many openings for middle school. Yes, middle school is a tough group to work with. I get that. I wouldn't be stressing out already if it wasn't a tough group to work with. But while it's a tough group to work with, I love working with them. They are my children. And Lord help anyone that messes with my children. They are the sweetest children, whether 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, because once they know you generally care, they open up to you. If you're just a teacher that's there and like, you know, hey, get your work done, don't talk, don't do nothing, they're not going to respect you. You need to have that level of respect with them, because up until this point, I feel like K-5, they feel like they've been talked down to. And they feel like, you know, they just want to be treated like human beings. That's the vibe I get from middle school kids. They just want to be treated like humans. How would you feel if you'd been talked down to your whole life, you know? Like, oh, you know, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. Why? You're just not allowed to. And then once they get to middle school, you're not allowed to do that. Why? Because if you stick that fork in the electrical socket, you're going to get shocked. Or, oh, if you stick your arm in that radiator, because you probably have never seen a radiator in your life, because you probably live in a more upgraded house at the moment, guess what? You're going to get like 2nd or 3rd degree burns and have to go to the hospital in the middle of school. They want to see some form of reason, you know. Once they hit middle school, you know, because I said so really doesn't work anymore. That's one thing I've noticed whenever I have to make that click shift between middle school and elementary school working with my kids. You know, I have to make that little shift in my brain every day when I go from my internship to work. You know, at my middle school, whenever my kids do anything and I tell them to stop, I can tell them the reason. I can explain to them the reason. One of my kids at my internship, even though the radiator wasn't on because it wasn't cold enough for them to really have it on, he still got his finger jabbed in the radiator. And he was like, you know, it was really weird, even though we'd been explaining to him, you know, why you shouldn't touch it. He must not have been there, must not have been mentally there when we were talking to him about it. Like, you know, he was like, you know, what, you shouldn't have your finger in there because you're going to get 3rd degree burns and have to go to the hospital and get your finger cut off. That kind of thing. So, you know, middle school, I feel like the reason some people feel like it's so difficult is because they feel like middle school kids are still young. And so they feel like they have that talk down to mindset. They haven't realized that even though they may still be younger, they're at that age where they feel like because you said so isn't really enough anymore. Now, sometimes it might be a valid answer. Like, you know, let's say one of your kids in your class is having a seizure and everyone's trying to crowd around them and you're trying to put them in the rescue position. Go sit down. Why? We're trying to help. Because I said so. That's a valid reason for you to say because I said so. Now, if you're telling them to, let's say you have a reason for, let's say you're correcting them like on a behavior or something like that, you know. I feel like with middle school students especially, now that they know that the behavior is bad, I feel like now they need to know the reason why it's bad. In elementary school, I feel like you're trying to build up that, hey, this behavior is bad. This behavior is bad. This behavior is bad. Now they know this behavior is bad. They need to know why this behavior is bad. They kind of get that in 5th grade, but they still get, hey, this behavior is bad. Stop it. Go in timeout. But they need to know why they're being put in timeout. Why is this behavior bad? Why this? Why that? Like an example. Let's say like you're playing a game in 5th grade. Off the top of my head, let me just think. I'm just checking it. Trouble. Okay, cool. Easy game. Say one of your 5th graders starts freaking out because they're losing. You go up and you intervene because they start throwing a fit, and you tell them to like go sit in timeout. And you go and talk to them like, they're like, why did you put me in timeout? And then, especially at my job, and you can just be like, because you were showing bad sportsmanship, you were yelling at your friends, that was bad rules. You can do that like in 6th grade too, and 7th grade and 8th grade. Because it doesn't matter how old they get, when they feel like they're losing a game and they're being cheated, they're gonna freak out. So that's another reason why I feel like middle school people think it's hard. Because, they don't really understand, at least behavior-wise, that as they get older, kids, they stop feeling like because I said so is a valid reason for behavior. Let's see, why else? No, I also said this was why I became a middle school teacher too. Another reason really why I became a middle school teacher, why I decided I'm becoming a middle school teacher, aside from it being really just a God thing, is because, kind of like I said earlier, I've been thinking about what I wanted to teach. I honestly wanted to teach what I enjoyed the most when I was growing up in school, I wanted to teach something I enjoyed. I wanted to teach something that I loved, something that I enjoyed, something that I had fun with. And at the end of the day, when I was weighing pros and cons of everything, middle school is what really won out. So yeah, that's really why I became a middle school teacher. This video turned into a lot of things. And really with my vlogs, I always try, especially with these commuter ones, to try to stay as close to a topic as possible. Because I want to try to keep it on some kind of topic, but really kind of like how I am when I'm going in the morning. They really are just my vlogs, my musings, how I really see things. So, my goal with the commuter vlogs before I sign off for today is to do at least 2 a day. And they're going to be a little longer because, they will take up some of my commute. They will take up good little portions. Some will be shorter, some will be longer. This first one will obviously be longer because I had to do a little introduction. And I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, which is middle school. I love my middle school kids. And since I commute 2 days a week, I will more than likely post 2 a week. And then during the week, you'll get vlogs about my animals, family, life. I'm trying to work on another makeup tutorial as well. I just gotta get money for makeup because, broke college student / employee, because bills from getting ferrets are expensive. That's another thing. Who knows, one day a Dare Driving vlog might be ferrets again. Hey, ferrets are expensive. Don't impulse buy animals that are considered exotic animals, because they can be twice as expensive as, say, a puppy. Puppies may be expensive, but God knows cage animals are even more expensive. Thank God I have my boyfriend that talked me off the ledge of getting a hamster, because there was a really cute hamster at PetSmart that was getting a little bullied, and I wanted him, but I couldn't get him. So, yep, with that being said, I keep checking my time just to make sure I'm making good time to get to my class. But with that being said, okay, it's way too hot in my car now. Crayola is out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.